everybody. This is Strategywizard, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Quantum. This is a game that's designed by Eric Zimmerman, and it's published by FunForge. It's 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, they say, and it's about 60 minutes. So this game is one of those games I knew I wanted it a long time ago. I didn't buy it, and over time, it kept recurring in my mind, that game, Quantum. I really wanted to get it. So eventually, I went back and reminded myself why I was so interested, watched a video that from Watch It Played that showed how the game worked, and I was reminded, wow, this really is a game that seems like something I want. So I took a dive, I bought it. The question is, did it really meet my expectations? So let's go to the table, we'll talk about it, and we'll find out. Okay, so here's a partial setup for a 2-player game. The map here is composed of 9 square tiles. They each have 1 planet each, and they have a number, 7 on all but 1. One in the middle has 8. And there's spots for these little cubes here in all of them, 2 of them available in the 8 square. Now here's the thing, the more people you play with, or depending on if you want to play more than the basic game, you have other tiles. You have a 9 with 3, 9 with 3, 9 with 3, an 8 with 2. You got an 8 with 2. There's 10s with 4, like this one. So the point is, you have tons of tiles here. The more people you play with, the bigger the map will be. And you can make it bigger even and customize it even for a 2-player game. Now, you'll notice you have 4 of these cubes. These are called Quantum cubes, which go in the spot on your player sheet that has that name. And you'll notice there's 2 that aren't in this little area. These you would use if you played a custom game where you had more planets to put cubes on. But in the basic game, you just have 4, and this is the basic layout of space that you're allowed to play in. So this is the way it's going to start. You have your 4 quantum cubes here. You have 1 placed out in one corner. That's your home base, and you can only have your ships in a place that has they can only be generated or produced next to a planet with one of your quantum cubes. You also have 3 dice that you're about to roll to figure out what ships you have. You have 2 dice on your player sheet, 1 for your dominance, 1 for your research, and then you have 2 others out here that you can expand to obtain if you get cards that allow you to. So let's go ahead and roll and see what we start off with. Okay, you have 2 5s and a 1. Now at this point you have 1 chance to re-roll. You can re-roll if you don't like what you got. Let's say, and you have to re-roll everything. So let's say I go, I don't really want that. You re-roll, okay, 3, 4, and 6. I like that more. So you place those however you want around your starting planet. That's how you start. Now here's the thing. The goal of the game is to place all of your quantum cubes. We have 4. To do that, you're going to be moving your ships and surrounding planets. You'll notice the square spots around the planets. Those are specifically telling you these are the places you have to be around a planet in order to place a quantum cube. So for example, let's say you had a 3 and a 4 here, then you can place a quantum cube, but you have to have the exact number. You cannot have more or less. So 7 is perfect. If this was a 6, you can't do it. 9 does not work. Or if you had another die over here that bumped it up, that would not work. But this will do it. So on your turn, you would be able to place a quantum cube. So it sounds super simple. I mean, wow, you're just moving your dice and placing cubes. Well, here's the thing. What makes this game interesting, first of all, each ship has its own abilities. The number on the dice tell you what they do. And you'll notice over here on the player board, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to read the text because it's not so dark, so you may not be able to see it that well. But each one, it tells you what the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are, and it tells you what the name of the ship is, and it tells you what the special ability is. Now, something that everyone's common, there's no special abilities for any of the characters, which is unfortunate to me. It would have been cool if they had that, but nonetheless, this still tells you everything you need to know. You have a 1. Now, what's the same for everybody, well, everything's the same for everybody, but 1s move 1 space. 2s move 2 spaces, all the way up to 6. 6s move 6 spaces. That's pretty obvious at this point now. So the cool part is the ship number tells you how far it can move. And Also, it tells you what the combat value is, and here lower values are better. So having a 1 is the most powerful. It's the slowest, but it's the most powerful ship. And 6, is, of course, is the fastest, but the weakest ship. So the cool part is you immediately know that up front. You just see that, and that's powerful information. But the other thing is there's a special ability for each ship. So 1s have the ability to attack for free, basically, without using an action. Normally, you have 3 actions you can use on your turn, but the special ability is something that you can use, even if you've used your other 3 actions, you can always use the special ability on a ship. So you basically get a free attack with the most powerful ship. That's awesome. With the number 2, you get to pick up a ship from a surrounding space and carry it as you move and drop it in an empty surrounding space. So basically it's like a carrier, which is super powerful for moving your 1s because they actually allow you to pick up diagonally. So for example, if this was a 1, on the 2's action, the free action part is to pick up the 1. Then using an action, you would move, and you can move diagonally. Well, you can't move diagonally. You can pick up diagonally, but you have to move orthogonally, and then you can drop them off. So you moved this 1 all the way from here to right here. That's huge. Because normally the 1's going to be plodding along, 1, 1, 1. So the 2's give you a great way to move your 1s really fast. 3s let you swap places with one of your own ships. That's another great way to move your 1s. Let's say you have a 3 over here. You can say, oh, for free, I'm going to move this 1 and swap it right here. Suddenly your 1 could be right next to an enemy that you want to crush. 4s, you can, for free, change them to a 3 or a 5. That's very powerful. That way you can change what you might be able to get to the point where you can get the 8, or if you don't have a way to get a 7, let's say you have 4 right here, and you've got a 2 right here. I'm sorry, let's do it over here just to make it easier. Then you go, oh man, I don't have enough, but you can, for free, change the 4 to a 5. Bam! Suddenly you can place a quantum cube there. And then the 6 lets you roll a new number for free. So here's to explain that. I'm going to go over all of the actions just to make this clear. The first action, and the one that applies to the 6, is reconfigure. At any point, you can take a die for one action and re-roll it and get a new ship. So these ships are able to reformat. They're like transformers, basically. And the 6 can do it for free. So every ship is only allowed to take 1 action. But of course, the free action is separate. So normally, let's say you had a 4 and you go, oh, I want to, or let's say you had a 2, I want to re-roll it. So you re-roll it. Well, if you get the same thing, then you always get to re-roll it. The game does a wonderful job of making it to where you can't get super unlucky. You did not waste your action and get the same thing. You always re-roll until you get something else. So let's say you get a 5. Oh, cool. But let's say you didn't want a 5 and you go, oh man, that's too bad. Well, if you were started off as a 6, for free, you can reconfigure without using one of your actions. You roll that 5 that you didn't want, you can then use an action to re-roll it. So that's important, and it's cool. So keep that in mind. Now, you can actually, after that, you can still move and attack with a ship. You can do each individual thing once. You can do a reconfigure once, unless you're the 6, in which case you can do it twice. The next thing is to deploy. You can take a ship that's been destroyed, that's in your scrapyard, and you can you roll it, and then you place it next to one of your quantum cubes. Then you can move and attack. Moving and attacking, of course, again, you can only do 1 action of a given type per ship. So, for example, you could reconfigure your 5, turn it into a 6. Then you can move it and then attack somebody if you ran into them. You have to actually move into the same spot as someone else. So if there was a yellow die over here and you moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you'd have a combat. So moving and attacking is part of the same action. You can also construct a quantum cube, but that takes 2 of your 3 actions. So you always have to plan ahead and think, I need to make sure I have enough actions to actually place a cube this turn. And you can do research. Add 1 to your research die. So it starts off at 1. You can just say, I'm going to do an action. Bam! Move it up to 2. If you get all the way to 6, you get a research breakthrough. A research breakthrough is very important because it lets you get cards. Now, there's 2 ways to get cards. You can get cards either by bumping up your research to level 6, or If you place a quantum cube at the end of your turn, you'll get to draw a card. Either way, you'll draw it at the end of your turn. You can't draw a card by doing the research and then get to use something awesome right off the bat. But cards are very powerful. So there's two different kinds. You have black cards and white cards. Now, what makes these different, black cards are basically immediate actions that just happen. White cards you get to keep, and you'll notice there's 3 slots over here, and these 3 slots basically let you, it shows you that you have 3 openings for permanent upgrades. So if you got Warlike, you'd place it over here, and if you got another one, you'd place it over here, and if you ever had 3, if you ever got another one, you'd have to discard one to get a new one. But these cards are unbelievably powerful. So research, here's one of the good things about this game. Of your actions, reconfigure, which means re-rolling to get another ship, deploying, which is taking something that's been destroyed and moving it onto the board, moving and attacking, constructing a cube, which uses 2 actions, or researching. No, even if you can't do much of anything good with the other actions, researching is always good, because once you get to 6, you will go back down to 1, which means you can continue. So let's say you start off at 5, you could go to 6 to do your research, then you'd be able to end up starting back over and continuing increasing your research level. So that's really powerful. Unfortunately, it takes 6 turns to do that basically, but so powerful because these cards, here's the thing, look at some of these and just be amazed at how awesome they are. Agile. All of your ships have +1 movement. Huge. Game breaking. Cruel. When you attack or defend, you can choose to have your opponent re-roll once. Okay, so that takes us to the combat aspect. Combat in this game is, of course, as you can tell, is the inverse of what most games are like this. You want the lowest number. So the attacker and the defender, just like in Risk, you're going to get a die. Only 1 die. And you're going to, and so let's say this. Okay, so this is the defender. This is the attacker. The attacker rolls. Defender rolls. You add these numbers to your ships. So if I was attacking with this 1 and I rolled a 6, I'd say, okay, I have 7. Let's say this was a bad guy and he rolled a 3. He has 9. Well, this guy won because 7 is lower than 9. Lower numbers win. However, one other thing you need to understand: the attacker gets the advantage in this game big time. The attacker, they can't lose their ship, so they have nothing to lose in attacking other than wasting their action. But the defender, if they lose, their ship goes in the scrapyard and has to be redeployed later. So attacking, they motivate you to attack in this game by making the attacker have the advantage. But either way, it's all about these. What you roll makes a big difference. But because you have this power struggle between what your dice are, that if you have a 1, you have a great chance of winning against most things. But if you're against a 6, you literally can't lose, because even if you roll a 6 and they roll a 1, since the attacker breaks ties, the 1 still wins. So keep that in mind as far as the combat goes. But I mean, so in this case, making your opponent re-roll, powerful, because if they rolled a 1, you definitely want to have them re-roll. Let's see. We've got Warlike. Extra action for destruction. When you destroy 1 or more enemy ships on your turn, you gain 1 extra action for that turn. Huge. I mean, just so powerful. Research bonus for being brilliant. Add 2 to your research automatically at the start of your turn. This is permanent, so at the start of your turn, you get 2 research every turn. Just powerful stuff. Subtract 1 from every weapons or defenses combat roll. So basically, you're just always better. Now, some of the immediate ones, these are also very important. Expansion, you add a ship to your fleet. So you'd be able to take one of these extra die, you'd roll it, and you'd put it in next to one of your quantum cubes. Powerful. More ships is always better. There's a lot of expansion ones. Momentum. Immediately take another turn, but with 2 actions instead of 3. So powerful. I mean, that could be your way of getting a quantum cube. Maybe it took 3 actions so that you could place one, and before they come and kill you, you want to play this card so that you get that extra action, extra turn with 2 actions and place that cube before it's too late. reorganization. Immediately reroll any or all of your ships. Very powerful if you're unsatisfied with what you have at the moment. I mean, just the cards make such a big difference, and I love that aspect about this game. Now, the only other thing I think that I need to cover is this right here, dominance. And with dominance, basically, every time you kill someone as the attacker, you get to bump this up. But every time you lose, you're going to go down. So if you win a lot, you're going to end up getting to 6, which equals infamy, they say. And then you just get to place a quantum cube anywhere on the board. So again, this game motivates you for combat. The attacker can't lose his ship, so he has almost nothing to lose. And if you keep winning, then you're going to end up getting a free cube. So I like that aspect because I think it's fun when games motivate you to attack each other. But some people, I'm sure, don't like that, but that's just my take on it. So either way, the point is, this game, it's all about, you have these dice, you're trying to get these quantum cubes on these planets. You'll notice the 2 slots here. You can't put 2 of the same color on here. So I might do this, but the other person will always be able to put one there, just FYI. And you're re-rolling, you're moving, you're attacking, you're getting new cards, you're researching, and it's just, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's also a relatively quick game. So it's not like it takes forever. Either way, I really enjoy it. This game's really cool. Kind of giving away my opinion already, but I'm really excited about this game. So let's go ahead and go up top, and I will tell you everything that I think about it. Okay, so now that we know how to play, what do I think? Here's the deal. Dice overall that's a mechanic that overall I've grown up not liking. And whenever I was younger, dice games like Risk, and mainly Risk, Trouble, sorry, I guess, Monopoly, anything that used dice where that was the key mechanic, that was always bothersome to me. Why? Because I associate dice with luck and excruciatingly crushing luck sometimes. You play Risk, you roll as the attacker, you get 3 6s, and you go, wow, this is a great roll. And your opponent gets 2 6s and as the defense, and it trumps everything that you did. I mean, my memory just tells me dice are bad. However, one thing I've learned in this hobby is that dice do not always mean bad or luck-driven to a point that it's so extreme. This game is such a case where the dice, even though it's about dice, it doesn't just scream luck. And that's why I'm going to start off saying real quick, like, I really like this game. Basically, you get tons of dice for each person, and you have these ships, and it's so intuitive. The 1s move 1 space, the 6s move 6 spaces, and everything in between. You automatically, whenever you see everyone's ships, you know how fast they move, and you have a nice reference on the player board that shows you what they do special. And it also tells you their combat ability. I mean, it's so straightforward and streamlined, it works, and it's easy. I love that. So I'm kind of giving away a lot right there, but I'm just excited about this game, and I'm really glad I bought it. It just does a great job. Component quality could be a little better. The dice feel a little cheap to me, and I've read a lot of comments from people saying that they got sticky dice. I didn't really have that problem so much, although some of the dice maybe had a little bit of a residue on them, and maybe it was just the stickiness dried up in mine. I don't know. And I don't know if newer copies are getting a lot better. I think they were supposed to have a run, and I thought, honestly, that this was going to be better than what I had been reading about. I don't know if maybe I didn't get the 2nd edition. Maybe someone just sent me some old 1st edition copy. I don't know. But either way, the dice are not perfect, but they are functional, and they still look good. They just feel a little cheap, and you know, no big deal. The point is, they're big, and they're easy to see the color difference, and that's what matters, and they work, and they roll nice enough. But apart from that, the cards are great, the cardboard is nice and thick and sturdy, so I like the components. The artwork, I'm not a big fan of the artwork so much. I like the space theme, because I like space battles and stuff like that, but I just think the character artwork in particular was a little lackluster, but hey, not going to complain too much because it doesn't really take away from the game. It's not like it's just ugly. So apart from that, you know, components are great. Replayability, awesome. You always have so much going on here. Whenever you start off, your initial ships are going to be different half the time, or most of the time they'll be different. So your initial start is going to be different from game to game, and then as you continue to play, you have so many options that change the way the game is played. Whenever you have cards that permanently change your abilities, it's kind of like you're customizing your race as you play. Unless you solely go for the immediate action cards, you're going to be getting abilities that change you so much different than everyone else, and that's awesome. I like that. I personally would have thought that these races should have had their own special abilities from the get-go. I was disappointed that they did not, because whenever you have a player board that looks this big, you kind of think, yeah, this is going to have a special ability for this race, but they didn't. That was disappointing. But because they let you basically make your own special abilities as you play, that fills that itch for me, so I'm good with that. It scratches it pretty well. And the fact that you have all these different setups, so many different ways to set up the game, I mean, that is great. It makes it to where, and you could make your own custom ones if you wanted to. You don't have to stick with theirs. That's powerful. That means you have replayability in the boards or the play area. You have replayability in the fact that the ships that you have as you play are going to be different. You can't just decide, I want to have this many 1s and 2s and 3s, etc. It's somewhat random. However, the randomness doesn't cripple the game. Why? Because every ship is useful. You want all of them. If you could, you'd want to have them all in your fleet. So you're never just unhappy with what you have unless you roll a bunch of 1s. But then you just take an action, re-roll it. If you re-roll a 1, you always get to re-roll if you've got the same thing. So you're not going to get the same thing again. So that's a powerful way to keep the luck from being debilitating in this game. And like I say, unless you're just picky with what you want your fleet to be exactly, you're going to be happy with what you have, because all the ships are useful, they're practical, and they're powerful. And the numbers, you need different numbers sometimes to go on different planets, so that means that you do want some variety, and it's just great. And the replayability is awesome. Every game feels like its own little adventure, and I like it. I feel like, for those who are familiar, you take something like Forbidden Stars or Twilight Imperium. To me, it takes that really big, long, epic space battle experience, and it condenses it into something that's more manageable, easier to play, and still very strategic and interesting. So, and more importantly is the fact that it's quick and easy. That's the thing. It's quick for people who don't want to play something that takes as long as they do, and it's easy to teach, so you don't have as many rules to go over. So this fits in a way that I really want this kind of game in my collection. So, the components are good. The replayability is good. The strategy level is good. I like the fact that you have choices. You have choices on what cards you get, and the cards are so radically different that it can seriously change the way the game plays. If you focus on getting your fleet bigger, that's going to be a big deal. You're going to have more dice moving around, killing, putting the cubes out. That's awesome. It makes you more intimidating. But you're also getting abilities that could affect your combat ability, or it might make it to where you can place cubes better, or so many other ranges of possibilities. I mean, there's so many good things, and I like that. I like the fact that you can get cards that give you a boost to your research. I mean, you name it, there's cards for it. And I like the fact that on your turn, there's always something to do. If nothing else, you can bump up that research so you can, try to get to 6 and get your little upgrade. That's awesome. The fact that you never have anything, there's never a time where you're like, I don't have anything to do. You always have something to do, and it's always good. So that's a sign of a good game, in my opinion. Whenever you feel like you always have a good option, that's great. But whenever you have multiple options at your beck and call at any time, that's even better. You have a lot of options, and you always have good options. That makes me happy about this game. So everything screams yes for me. I give this a 9 out of 10. It hits the mark on being a quick, easy space combat, and mainly it's not even all space combat, but I mean, I like to consider it that because I like the combat aspect. But it just works so well, and I've played it with several different people, and everyone has enjoyed it. I have yet to play this with anyone who did not like it. And again, I'm not a dice person, but this does dice the way that they should be used, where there's a little luck, but there's not so much that you feel like it ruins your chances of winning. So Great recommendation for me. I mean, I am more than satisfied that I bought it. 9 out of 10, good to go. Please let me know in the comments, do you disagree with me, or do you think I left something out, or if you have any questions, please let me know. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Hopefully I can, continue to provide good videos for you. And in the meantime, take it easy. I'll see you on the next one, and stay happy and play games. Talk to you later. Bye.